something that's very common that I come across a lot, and people have big problems with is separation anxiety. Well, that's the common term that we use for it. First of all, I'd like to say I call it more of a connection disability opposed to separation anxiety, because the reason the horse is feeling separated is because it has the inability to connect with us and feel calm and safe in the environment around us. So hence why it's seeking refuge back at the paddock with its friends and things like that. So how do you cure separation anxiety? Well, it is through building a connection. Now, building a connection is something that sort of starts off in the way we are, and the way we act around our horses, how happy and good we make our horses feel to be around us. So all that stuff comes into account. Now, so you can pat and scratch your horse and make him feel really good, but if you lack certain leadership qualities and you know, so when things are a little bit stressed, you're a little bit anxious and you're sort of a little bit erratic in the way that you are, then basically when the environment gets a bit stressful, then the horse will start to not feel so safe around us, so they will be more connected with their paddock mates or the place they last felt safe. So in becoming a good leader for our horses, to be a place where our horses would seek refuge opposed to seeking refuge somewhere else, is we have to be very clear in our intentions. We have to be a place that our horse can sort of feel that it can rest and feel comfortable around. When we guide our horses, we have to guide them in a way that make them feel that we're just guiding them, opposed to, you know, pushing them away and making them feel separated. So all those things come into account in our groundwork. So if we can't have a connection with our horses, every time we take them out to do groundwork or riding, the horse will feel or will have a desire to be somewhere else, and that desire will override, you know, any ideas that we present to that horse, so that, you know, people, you know, suffer because their horse is bouncing around on the end of a rope and all it wants to do is be back with its mates. Now, separation anxiety is not only like, you could, if you really sort of think about it like a connection disability, some horses suffer from, say, a connection disability, as in they want to go back to the last place they felt safe, whether it be the yards where they were feeding, the stables, the horses in the paddock, and that desire overrides anything else. And the further they get away from that, and so basically their thoughts are stuck back somewhere, and you're just taking an empty shell away from there, and that body just wants to get back with it, where its thoughts are and where it wants to feel safe. So that's one type of horse. Another type of horse might be a horizon horse, that because it's disconnected with us, no matter which way you point it, it just looks out over the horizon thinking that there's somewhere else out there, and because it's working and operating with a certain amount of anxiety, it's just sort of on a destination that's out there somewhere. So you might be riding over a hill and it's just looking ahead, or it'll always speed up a bit more for home, but it tends to be sort of, you know, I'm over there, I'm over there, I'm over there, and those horses are, you know, separated from us, and lacking a connection, and it's basically, you treat the same problem, as in you build a good connection and a calm connection with you, and then the horse shouldn't feel that it has to separate so far from us. And also, if they're connected with us, being around people won't produce the anxiety. So if we don't have a good relationship with our horses, then we add anxiety just by being around our horses, so that anxiety will cause the horse to have a stronger desire to be somewhere else. So something I strongly recommend with people who want to help their horses with getting a stronger connection, so they can sort of dissipate that idea of separation anxiety, then basically, first of all, you got to see if your horse can stand and feel calm and connected with you. So you might, in your own self, you have to be, I say to people, just be a tree, just stand there and just in your mind think, I'm here to help, and that's all you can think about. You don't worry about what the horse is doing, what it's not doing, just be there for your horse. And sometimes you find, just by standing there, no matter how rattled your horse may seem, you might stand there for 10 minutes and it might just start to come down and relax and start to sniff out to you and come up to you and say, oh, well, you're calm, you're on guard, but you're calm, and I can come in and I can centre and relax with you. So sometimes at clinics I'll get somebody to do that, and that'll really help their horse without doing anything. But it's not doing anything. What they're doing is the most important thing that horse needs, and that's just a place that's just the comfort and a calm place where they can just sort of relax and feel that they got company, but it's just company enough that they can relax with. So that's one of the things that you can practice with some horses, is just don't micromanage everything. Just stand solid, grey roots into the ground, strengthen on the inside. So strong means kind, not hard and brash, and it's just you strengthen on the inside. So if the horse is moving around, you're not moving around and getting pushed here and pushed there. You're just standing nice and strong and calm. And I've seen a lot of horses just come and just relax and breathe on their owners and just feel really calm. Some horses are really so distracted that they won't find you. You stand there, you try it, you stand there centered, nothing happens. So those horses, you have to capture their focus. Now some of them you have to capture their focus by, if you just fiddled with a flag or waved a rope, it just might stir them up and make them more anxious. So those horses that you might pop a flag that's more like a clap that comes out of nowhere, and the horse goes, what was that? And you capture their focus. And once you've got that focus, they'll look and they'll watch, and you just stand there nice and calm. And as soon as they leave, emotionally leave, you can capture their focus again. And then after a while, you'll have that focus captured enough that all of a sudden the stuff over there starts to disappear, and they hone in on you. And then they see that you're standing there. In your mind, you're saying, I'm here for you, you're calm, and they start to feed off that, and then they start to relax and let down, and they'll slowly let down, that they can actually rest beside you and feel calm. And that's something that's very important in your groundwork. And what I say to people when I'm teaching them is that's like building a little island. So you're an island for your horse, and so a lot of horses feel like they're swimming out in the ocean looking for some land, and they think they know where it is. It's over there, and that's where they're trying to swim to. And but we're saying there's a little island here with us, and you just come up on this island and feel safe. And then when we teach them things, we teach them to do something, which means they go out for a swim, but there's always that island to come back to. So if you feel your horse getting too distracted, you can always bring it back and say, reconnect, calm, centre, and just be with me. So that's sort of something you've got to look into when you're working on the ground with your horses with separation anxiety. You have to build a connection, because, as I said before, it's not separation anxiety, it's connection disability. So the only horses that can really suffer from separation anxiety are ones that don't have a horse or a person around them, then they're completely on their own. Those ones have a right to suffer from separation anxiety, but a horse that's with a person shouldn't suffer from it if they're connected with us. So once you've got that connection, that's going to be really important. So under saddle, it's harder to build a connection with your horses, because obviously you're sitting behind them and the horse's head's out there, and you can't just stand there and let them come up and breathe on you like a tree and just be calm with your presence. But if you've built that connection on the ground, when you get up on them, it's a lot closer than what it would have been if you hadn't had that connection on the ground. So when you ride your horses, what you've got to feel for is when they emotionally leave you. So say for instance they wanted to be at the yards. So I'll start off with a really fractured horse, for instance, like a really one that's, as soon as you sit up on it, the eyeballs are open, the adrenaline's really high, and the horse is just, you know, bouncing around, and half the reason it's bouncing around is because it can't find that safety underneath us, so it's looking elsewhere, it's trying to get back to the yards and things like that. So one of those horses that's high octane, high adrenaline, quite anxious, then it might want to drift back over to the yards. So all you do is just sit on it and just let it go back to somewhere where it feels safer. So as soon as it gets to somewhere like the gate in the arena that it wanted to go out, it'll get there and go, oh, okay, I'm relaxed here because this is where I came in, or and then you just might sit on it and just let it relax and see if it just sort of relaxes and just thinks about you, or something like that. And it might just start to think about you and go, oh, you're there, you're okay. And then all you would do is just steer it back away from that gate and let it come back. It'll go out, it'll come back to the gate, and then you just sit on it at the gate and say, I'm here. And what you're trying to do at the gate is build a little island for you and that horse, just like the island when you stand like a tree on the ground. And you've got to acknowledge when that horse comes back with its thoughts and connects with you. And then you just gently steer it away from the gate. So steering it away from the gate will be like putting that horse out in the ocean. It's going to swim and it's going to get a little bit worried and it's going to want to go back to the island. That island may be at the gate where it feels safe. So you might just let it go back to that gate and go, okay, I'm back on the island again. The tension reduces in the horse and it relaxes a bit, but at the same time it relaxes at the gate with you, and you're looking hard for that horse, thinking I'm okay with you. And then you just repeat that, and soon that horse goes, well, you take me from the gate and then you bring me back to the gate. Oh, I'm not going to leave the gate forever, because when we got on the horse we didn't give them an essay to say, okay, this is the story that we're going to do, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to ride you out there, but in an hour I'm going to bring you back to the gate. The horse doesn't know that. They just think we're taking them away from where they feel safe. So if we take them back to the gate a lot, they go, oh, I'm back at the gate, you took me to the gate, you take me away from the gate, and soon enough that idea of the gate sort of goes away, and they start to take you further out in the arena. And then what you do is you might come back towards the gate a bit, find a little island, and then the horse will breathe out and relax when you just stop it and go, I can stand with you and relax. Oh, that's all right. So then all of a sudden in that arena, for instance, or that area that you're riding in, you'll go a bit further and further, and you'll find little islands where your horse just gets calm with you and relaxes. And the desire to be at the gate suddenly disappears, because it's happy just to sort of take on your ideas, and because it knows the place of relaxation is when you give it an idea. So the idea is the horse is always going to find it through the reins or something like that, so you might steer them into a spot where they can just have a little spot to rest. And so that's you know, for those type of horses, I think that helps more than, you know, making them feel bothered at the gate by taking them back to the gate and making them do something there till they don't want to be at the gate. The idea, it's not about the gate or the yards versus the other end of the arena. It's about, are you connected with me? So if you just do it like hard easy or something like that, the horse might just go back there, think it's hard there, it's easy over there, but you still might miss the horse still might miss you as the actual key to the whole thing, and you might miss offering the horse yourself as the key to the whole thing, which is its connection with me. So say for instance it was a horse that just went back to the gate, wasn't so troubled, but it wanted to go back to the gate, but when you rode it, it was really disconnected. So you might just ride it back to the gate. The horse will release some tension, so when the horse has got less tension, it's going to listen. So you might just ride it around at the gate, and just when you feel for that horse listening for you and steering with you and going, oh, I can hook onto that rein, that's your idea, that's okay, I can do that. And then you just loosen up and you go, here's a spot, and the horse will just go, here's centre. So the horse just finds that centre with you, and you just ride out away from the gate. But the idea when you're back at the gate is you're not making the gate, the horse going to be doing more stuff at the gate, but that stuff is directly linked to connecting with you. And then when the horse connects with you, you go, there, here's the island, here's the connection. The horse goes, oh, all I'm doing is finding centre, finding you. So, and finding centre is something I talk about a lot at clinics, and it's that just finding that island. And so some horses will get better then, and then you're riding around the arena, but they're still lost. Like a horizon horse, it's sort of, their destination is over there when they're riding, and then it's over there, and then it's over there. Well, those horses you might be able to ride around and as you're riding, and you might be going, and the horse goes, is it over there? You go, no, but it might be over here, and then the horse will turn, and then when the horse goes, is it over there? And you go, no, but it might be over here. And then after a while the horse will think a bit, and every time it emotionally leaves you, you've taken a bit of a turn on it, and then after a while it'll walk out and it'll go, wonder where it is, and it'll start to connect back through to you on its back. When you see it connect, its ears come back and things like that, you might just go, here it is, and the horse will just stand, and it'll go, oh, and then you just put your hand on it or something and just show them that you're there, and they'll just relax, and you feel them relax underneath you, and then they go, oh, I was looking out there for something that I didn't really know what I was looking for, but this feels pretty good here. So those horses that are just going in all different directions to a horizon or something like that, I call them horizon horses, they find you and they find that island with you and go, this is not a bad spot. And after a while, you walk them a bit, and soon they'll walk out at your speed, and then they'll just come back with you and happy stop with you. And then all of a sudden, instead of looking at the horizon when they're riding and at a destination when they're riding, they'll actually start to just think in the immediate ground ahead of them. So they'll just think towards the direction you're going opposed to a destination. So it's just really acknowledging your horses where they emotionally are if they're away from you, and trying to put a sort of a curve or a distraction on that. And when you see them and feel them come back, that's when you centre up and you breathe out and you go, here it is, and they tend to take up on it. So back to the whole scheme of things and separation anxiety. Connection disability, it's really, I wouldn't even sort of try to teach people about, okay, let's all separate our horses and teach them to be good at being alone and things like that, and have some sort of program to sort of how we manage our horses in the paddock and things like that. Because the reality is when a horse steps in with a person, if they've had a bad relationship, if they've been traumatised around people and things like that, that's going to cause separation anxiety, because as soon as the human's with them, the anxiety and the adrenaline goes up, so they're really looking for a place of refuge, and that's generally where they feel comfortable with the horses and their company that they like. Or even if it was a horse that was always on its own, just that paddock that it knows that it's safe in, and that's what it's separated from. So it's such a big subject, but I'm just going to tell a little story of a horse, because there's something that I've started to notice come with a better connection with owners, and just recently, and there's a few horses that I've heard similar stories of in the way they float and the way they're in their paddocks. But there's a particular horse I helped a lady with, and this horse was a real stallion gelding, a real what we'd call a rig, and it was really out there at the clinic. And so really we spent the first whole clinic just getting that horse to disconnect from this, focus on her, and just start to come in and just be really calm around her, and her to be just solid in the way she was, and a solid place for that horse to come and just rest and relax with. And so what happened after that is she started to practice that at home, so the horse would just really come and feel really calm and around her. And so, but the funny thing, interesting thing is she came to another clinic, but between the first clinic and the second clinic, the horse stopped running up and down the fence screaming like a stallion, and when the horses were moved, and her husband shifted his horses, and there were some of the young horses in the paddock that were sort of running around, and he was just standing there going, yeah, I'm happy in myself, I'm happy in my life, I'm pretty calm, and no bother at all. And he was alone in the paddock, and that was interesting. I'm not saying that's always going to happen, but it was interesting that because there was a certain part of his anxiety in his life that was fixed or nearly fixed, it changed the way he felt about a lot of things in his own natural environment. And then when she brought him to the next clinic, we came in, I was running a group of 5, and she was just standing with him. There's mares and geldings, and not a bother in the world. He just sort of, you know, calm and collected, and not, you know, just calm, because he was calm in himself, calm with her, and all that sort of race history that he had as an ex-racehorse, and that seemed to be sort of history for quite a lot of the clinic. So much so that we started getting her back up and riding him. And yeah, but it was interesting because she also said the journey, I mean, it was an 8-hour drive for her with him, but after he felt better around her, he stopped pouring in the float and he travelled calmly. He was a lot better in all of that. So yeah, I'd like to think that once you gain that good solid connection, then you're on the road to success from that separation anxiety, because it's probably one of the biggest things, that anxiety in horses, because they can't connect with people, is probably the most common thing that I see. I might just offer a couple of tips on separation anxiety or connection disability. So I guess what I just talked about was a lot of philosophy on it, and the idea of a connection and that being the most important thing. But just a couple of things you can try, you know, when you ride out, say for instance, you know, you start at the yards and then you've got a bit of a bigger yard and you ride out into a paddock or something like that. Or even if you start in a paddock, you don't have a round yard or anything, but if you got on your horse and you wanted to ride and it just started to feel separated, connected to back at where it started, or its mates or something like that, you sort of let it go to where it feels safe, I guess. And from where it feels safe, you start, like I was saying earlier, you start to sort of see if you can just connect with it. So you just might ride it a little bit and, you know, teach it a few things there, and when it's starting to listen and feel okay, you just might rest it there, stand it there in that spot that it feels if you let the horse go to where it wants to be, you're taking at least, you know, half the tension out of it, because out here it's not going to listen to you, it's not going to connect with you, but over here it will. So by taking it there, it'll connect better. So you've got an opportunity to talk to it, teach it how to follow a rein, teach it how to do a couple of things that it already half knows. Only do the things that it knows, just get it to connect to those things, like left rein or right rein, for instance. When you feel it connecting to those things, then the horse is starting to listen and tune into you. When it tunes into you, you can rest it in that spot there that it tuned into you, doesn't matter. And then you just try again, and then you just might let it look out in a new direction and just let it go and just let it have its head. Now the horse will go so far till it goes, oh hang on a minute, I feel like I'm swimming out in the ocean, I need to find an island. So it'll generally turn around and go back to where it wants to be. So you just might turn it around and just bring it back to there, and just when you feel the horse starting to listen to you, just, good, I can feel you listening, I'm just going to steer you out over there. And the horses will wander out, but what will happen, it'll come back, and you might just give it an island. Say if it was, you know, started off at the gate or something, maybe 10 metres from the gate, it might find a spot where it relaxes. So before it was at the gate, and 10 metres, when you walk 10 metres from the gate, it wanted to get back to the gate, but then you come back and it might be 10 metres from the gate and it starts to go, oh, I can connect and just, you know, rest with you. And so when you feel that connection and the horse listening to you, you just you know, reward it for that. Just sort of rest with it, let it be connected, and then you just might steer it away. And instead of kicking it and pointing it out for it just ping home, you kind of just let it dribble out and come home, and then out again, come home, out again, and soon it'll go further and further out. And then what'll happen, even if it did get a little bit worried, you only have to ride it 50 metres towards home to find a spot where it starts to feel a bit safer. So the boundary of where it feels comfortable gets further away from where it started, and that generally tends to be what happens. So yeah, that's sort of one way you can do it. And if your horse gets too disconnected or worried, you just bring it back to an area where it's a little bit more comfortable, and it can connect, and then you get the horse back to you. But the whole thing that you're recognising and rewarding is the connection with you, not always seeking to be away from the gate, but the connection with you and your ideas. And then as the horse gets confident, and because you're not pushing it away from the gate, you're not kicking and pointing to go out off over the horizon, the horse will get brave and search in a new direction. It'll start to look and think ahead, and then as soon as that horse starts to operate in a loose rein and get confident, it'll stop thinking for home or the other horses, and it'll start thinking in a new direction, and then it'll seek and just think forward in a new direction. You'll feel it loosen up underneath you and just travel along. So yeah, that's how I'd sort of ride a horse that was a bit stuck at home or things like that. And for the groundwork, basically just horses that really get disconnected, I would definitely distract them, or I'd be a big tree and I'd just stand and wait until they sort of find that I'm a good place to be.